Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. I have a number of guests from the world of cryptocurrency and blockchain on the podcast recently. And for those of you that are fairly new to this space, there are currently over 1,600 coins out there that are linked to blockchain projects. Some of these tokens are built on a startup that is essentially just a flimsy white paper and a quickly set up website. And the problem is that many of those projects are just pie-in-the-sky dreams of developers with no real solution. So I'm on a mission to find out more information on as many of these emerging projects and help you make a decision on what you think has the bright future. So I recently came across a project that is backed by Neo and also a team of top scientists. The company is called DeepBrain, and it covers all the big buzzwords such as AI, blockchain-driven and cloud computing. The token itself is called DBC, and it's currently sitting around 108th position on the CoinMarket app for around 7 cents, I think. But how are they planning to make a big difference with technology? What is the role of the token? This and so many more questions will be answered if you accept my invitation to let me beam your ears all the way back to the US so we can speak with Dr. Wang from DeepBrain. And he's going to tell us all about the DeepBrain project and the mission to build a truly decentralized AI ecosystem. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm glad to have this opportunity. My name is Dongyan Wang. I'm the Chief AI Officer for DeepBrain Chain. We are trying to build a decentralized AI cloud that try to reduce the cost of doing AI development and also increase the time to market for any companies who has AI needs.
Now, my understanding before you came on the show today is DeepBrain Chain's vision is to provide a low-cost, private, flexible, secure and decentralized artificial intelligence computing platform for AI products. But can you help people listening visualize exactly what DeepBrain is and also why you're on a mission to build that decentralized AI ecosystem?
Sure. I think the analogy I have been always using is, as everybody know, AI is penetrating our life. And the next 20 years, AI is probably one of the most critical and the most prevalent mega trend. It's going to be everywhere. But the problems for every AI company for AI development is they have to build AI servers, and then they have to hire an expensive team to do software development, and then take a long time to train the models, and they take a lot of computing power. It's very expensive. So what DeepBrain Chain trying to do is trying to really using the blockchain technology to connect the available computing power resources, data, and models across the globe, and have people to be able to share them using the blockchain value system, so those resources can be leveraged and utilized more efficiently. And with every resources being shared, and also with our token economy, with the mining concept, just like the Bitcoin mining, we are able to reduce the cost because 70% of the cost can come from mining compensation. And then also because of sharing, just like Uber or anything like that, anything once they are shared, then the resource can be utilized much, much better and quickly. And so the users can develop their applications much, much faster and cheaper.
Like you said there, artificial intelligence is going to just penetrate every single aspect of our life in the future, and it's already starting to now. And AI is much, much more than just another buzzword, and it will transform the world. But no one ever discusses how expensive AI programs are to run, or that AI enterprises need to spend on average, I think it's 30% of their funding in computing power equipment. I mean, can you expand on that? Because that's something I wasn't aware of until I was reading about you guys.
That's actually a very good number, because for AI, I think if you look at the history, this is the third time AI has been emerging. We joked around to say there was 2 AI winters in the 60s and then in the 80s. But this round, the reason of the AI emergence is because new algorithm called deep learning. And deep learning is relying on training a very large and deep neural network using kind of a very, very heavy computing power, especially GPU computing power. And each GPU from NVIDIA or from other companies can be very expensive. It can be ranging from $1,000 to $9,000 per piece. And the AI companies sometimes put a cluster of like 64, 128 GPUs together to train big AI models. And even with that, it may take weeks or sometimes even longer with a larger data set. So just think about an AI project. If you want to buy a machine with 128 GPUs and each GPU costs you, anywhere from $1,500 to a few $1,000s more, that hardware cost can, quickly add up to millions. And then you also need to have a very expensive team because with AI experts who know how to manage the hardware, who know how to manage the software, which is, by the way, not that mature and fast evolving as well. So those costs add up together. It take up, a large part of the AI development cycle and also cost.
Now, you have been in the artificial intelligence space for over 20 years. And so can you tell me how you're now trying to unite the healthcare industry and also run more AI programs? And also, and in particular as well, your story behind that desire and what drives you?
I was educated in my major in bachelor, master, PhD, all in the AI space. But then, like I said, when I graduated 20 years ago, I was in the last AI winter. So we have been doing a lot of work using AI techniques, but more around data science. And then along with the emergence of machine learning and deep learning, so we began to come back to this field. So the applications of AI, because of the deep learning and because of the emergence of all the availability of big data, a lot of data and the computing power, it began to really penetrate a lot of the industries. You mentioned healthcare. There are, for example, the computer vision techniques to do, disease detection, for example, like X-ray or, lung cancer detection, or other examples. There are like data analytics company try to use the medical data to really try to diagnostic and even predict what the diseases a person may have higher chance to develop in the next 6 months. Of course, outside of the healthcare industry, there are a lot of other industries. We begin to see AI everywhere, from autopilot to, voice AI in Alexa, in Siri. So all these applications actually all come back to one common ground, that they require three things for AI development. One is computing power, we talked about. One, they need data to train the big model using the computing power. And then number three is they need very efficient and effective AI models so they can have accurate, recognition results, for example. So DeepBrain Chain, what we are trying to do is really connect those three things together: computing power, data, and AI models, so people can really develop an effective AI solution using all the essential three components on the DeepBrain Chain ecosystems and platform.
So when we go back to healthcare again, what is it you think that's preventing the healthcare industry from embracing artificial intelligence? What's holding them back?
I think from what I know, there are quite some healthcare areas they already begin to adopt AI. But I think one sensitive part is about data privacy and data security, because healthcare, number one, there are a lot of regulations, and they do want to have their data really 100% secure and protect the patient's privacy. On the other side, I think it's just because we have to offer a lot of the mature AI solutions to any customers, including the healthcare, because I think a lot of the AI solutions are still at the R&D stage, not really to the industry solution stage. So that's what we want to help as well, to make sure to encourage and promote those kind of practical AI solutions.
So what kind of data sets do you work with? And has your work been more difficult with the change of attitudes of how data is being used in this post-Cambridge Analytica world, which seems to be changing everything over the last few months?
So I think there is certain impact of people saying what data can be utilized, and especially for people's privacy. You mentioned the Facebook event. However, I think there are different data in the AI space. One, there are like a lot of public data. For example, if somebody wants to say, I want to have 1,000, images of red bird, and image really, there's no security around it, but there are, copyrights and things, other concerns. And then you go to the other side of the spectrum about very secure, very private data. So we work with a lot of the different public data sets. There are public data sets available like ImageNet and other public data sets as well for research and for development. And also on DeepBrain Chain, we actually encourage we provide an ecosystem for people to share their data for other people to use, but without losing the security and privacy of it. So in other words, people can use your data to do training, and then they will pay tokens, DBC tokens, for compensate the data owners. On the other side, they cannot copy the data away and then resell or illegally distribute the data. So that provide a protection and value for the data owners. And the same example applies to the AI model owners as well. So we believe that can help to encourage more people to share data for not only R&D purposes, but also for business purposes going forward. But I think one more point to go back to the Cambridge Analytics issue is I think the trend of people are tokenizing their activity and the data is still a trend intact. Because we're all sharing a lot of activities, social behaviors, browsing activities online. But today we're sharing those free to the big companies, and the big companies are selling advertisements and profit from it. Each individual does not, benefit from that economy. But going forward, because with blockchain, we have more and more companies and technologies to enable each individual to tokenize their own data, so they can get compensated properly, depending on the level of the information they are willing to release to, the advertisers. So in the future, I can see the possibility that advertisers can easily go on a blockchain system to say, find me, for example, the certain targeted group of users, and then advertise to those people, of course, with those people's consent. But then those individual users who provide the data will be compensated by tokens.
I'm glad you mentioned blockchain there, because there really does seem to be a tremendous opportunity for medical professionals all around the world to actually use technology to collaborate and make a real difference in fighting some nasty diseases. So if I think of something like cancer, for example, if you've got the DNA and the data of every cancer patient in the world, if everyone begins sharing that kind of information, then maybe we can start progressing and fighting against these diseases. But why do you think it is that healthcare leaders shy away from sharing that data with others? Is it just about the data privacy, or is it about something else? And do you think that'll change?
I think it will change. I think the primary reason is our healthcare industry is kind of conservative, right? It's from the past history, and they're not normally on the frontier of adopting new technologies, and also they're dealing with very secure and private data. But I'm cautiously optimistic about the trend. It's going to be inevitable. It will happen, and it will benefit, I think, in multiple aspects on multiple waves. For example, I can see healthcare industry can use the blockchain technology immediately to try to for record keeping, right? For example, using the ledger technology to make sure all the information is stored securely and distributed away, and to increase efficiency and reduce cost. Just like a banks storing their banking records, right, which is equally secure. I would say similarly secure. On the other side, I think to encourage everybody to share their data. And so the data can be utilized as a collective whole together. I think that will take time. It's just like when internet first became reality in the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't think we could imagine back then about how internet and e-commerce can penetrate our life like today. Right? It's mobile pay, e-commerce, Alexa, Amazon purchases everywhere right now. I mean, back then, we know internet is a platform, but we couldn't imagine all those applications on the internet platform. I think blockchain is going to be very, very similar, and the applications on blockchain, it will happen immediately, eventually, but it will happen progressively as well.
So like we said earlier in the show, you have spent over 20 years in artificial intelligence. So I've got to ask you to look into your crystal ball a little here and say, what's your vision for the future of AI and healthcare? And can you help people listening understand the art of the possible what we can achieve as a global community using AI technology?
Well, I think the future is around us, actually, because if you look at the Silicon Valley startups, we can already see the trend of startups working on new technology. And we also know big companies like Amazon, like Google, they're also working on new, medical approaches or cancer cure, all those things. And the AI play a very, very big role in there. For example, from analyzing data, from detecting patterns, right? A lot of the patterns of the diseases are not easily described by mathematical models. So deep learning training with data, it's a very, very good approach to look at that. Another one is we begin to see some startup companies, because I also manage a investment fund. So we actually look at some of the new startups. They're also working on, for example, a new model I found interesting and fascinating. It's called D2C. It's a doctor to consumer. So that basically is saying the doctor, with AI's assistance, they can directly get the consumer's data. And as a collective whole, they can use AI to assist to diagnose, diseases, and then provide consumer better services. And in a way, it actually bypassed the hospital in the middle to a certain extent, which we think this is probably far in the future. But I think from what we are seeing, for example, one of the company we look at, they already have 30 million medical records of real patients from US. They are FDA sanctioned, and they already can predict diseases for 169 diseases. They have AI models to predict that. So with that kind of information and the technology, as a consumer, as a patient, for example, me, I can offer to share, hey, all my data, but in return, I can get a well-rounded prediction for all those diseases. What's the chances I may have? I may develop those chances in the next 6 months to 12 months. That will help the consumer, that will help the doctor and the hospital to lower cost and provide a much, much better service. So I think that's one example of probably a snap view of the future healthcare system is going to be very, very different from what we are doing today by utilizing blockchain as a value system foundation and using AI as a brain.
So before I do let you go, is there anything else that you can share with me today about your future plans for DeepBrain? Anything that you can reveal on the show?
Oh, yeah. So we actually have a lot of exciting developments in DeepBrain Chain. Right now, we have our testnet going live by the end of this month, the June, and our mainnet, basically is our main platform, will be live on the Halloween day, the October 31st. And then with that happening, so we are saying by the end of the year, we are going to have our platform and ecosystem established. We hope we can have thousands of GPU AI computers available for anybody who wants to develop AI software to work with virtually. There's a truly decentralized AI cloud. So you can basically go into the cloud, grab a computing power with GPU power, and train your AI models and using your data or in combination of other people's data. So we hope that will give us a very good jumpstart of the platform. And then in the next couple of years, I think we will attract a lot of AI partners and customers to come to the DeepBrain Chain platform and utilize this kind of next generation AI infrastructure to develop their own applications. And again, like I said earlier in the show, we hope that can offer them scalability, flexibility, 70% less cost, and a much, much faster time to market from reduce the development cycle from months to weeks or even days.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people listening who are incredibly excited and want to follow your progress, especially the information around mainnet, etc. So if there is anyone listening that wants to find out more or carry the conversation that we started today, can you just remind them of where they can find you online and also contact a member of your team if they have any questions?
Sure. I think the best way is to look up our website as deepbrainchain.org. And also you can find our Twitter accounts as well. And we'll be happy to answer any questions. And we have Telegram groups as well. And in different countries, we also have WeChat and other social media accounts. So welcome everybody to come to our website. You can find more, and welcome everybody to join our community. And we hope we can work with a lot of people together to make the AI development much, much better and faster and cheaper going forward, so we can help AI to penetrate our life even faster and earlier.
Well, I'll add all those links to the show notes just so people can find you nice and easily, including the Telegram link as well. There's so many big talking points there. I mean, like we mentioned earlier about how expensive AI programs are to run now, and that average spend is just insane. So a big thank you for raising these talking points and spending the time to talk with me today. I really appreciate it. And let's stay in touch. I'd love to get you on in 6 months and follow the DeepBrain journey. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me, and again, thank you again for the listeners to be interested in the DeepBrain Chain story. We look forward to working with everybody going forward.
DeepBrain's mission to build a decentralized AI ecosystem really captured my imagination and gave a little glimmer of the art of the possible and how technology could really make a difference to the world. And for those reasons alone, I found it an intriguing project. The million-dollar question is, can DeepBrain turn their vision into a reality and provide that low-cost, private, flexible, secure and decentralized artificial intelligence computer platform for AI products? Like we talked about there, we don't often hear about how expensive the AI processing power is. We don't often talk about how expensive the processing power is to run AI, or creating more AI platforms to spot and cure diseases by linking data sets. So I'm glad that we're starting to have these conversations. And I also wish the team at DeepBrain the best for the future. This is a project I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on. And if you have any experience in this area, let me know your thoughts by tweeting me at Neil C. Hughes or emailing me at techblogwriter@outlook.com, because I want to present you with information and guess, but not necessarily endorse anything. That's up for you to decide and share your insights and your opinions with me and each other. And I genuinely want to hear them. And if you are thinking of investing in crypto projects of any variety, remember, always do your own research. I want you to question every single thing that you read, everything that you see, and everything that you hear. YouTubers, writers, podcasters, and even people just commenting on a Reddit post are often paid to shill their projects. So any project that interests you, go direct to the source, read the white paper, look at the roadmap. Are they reaching their targets on that roadmap? And remember to do that with all ICOs and crypto projects, because right now we have a lot of people promising to change the world. But who is delivering on these promises? That is where the exciting things are happening. And that's why I'm quite passionate about featuring these companies on the show, then handing back to you guys. And let's have an open discussion about these projects and move away from talking about Lambos, going to the moon and cheering on individual coins like they're our favourite football team. Let's use technology to make a real difference. But enough of me and my tech dad warnings. We're living in incredibly exciting times and building a very different future. So I'm going to walk off into the sunset now and say a huge thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.